Let me give you just the chapters of the book, and then I'm going to read something specifically for you. Number one, chapter number one, Queens Manage Emotions. That's going to be a powerful chapter because so many women are hampered and hindered because they have no control of their emotions. They're all over the place in terms of their emotions. Chapter number two, Queens Study Kings. Queens are not oblivious to the ways of kings. Chapter three, Queens are financially savvy. Queens know how to manage the treasury, with or without a king. Chapter number four, Queens maximize their potential. Queens will never be satisfied living beneath their true potential. Queens actualize. They don't just have potential, they actualize that potential. Chapter number five, Queens eliminate insecurity and negativity. I believe that alone will make a great distinction between a common woman versus a queen, or a woman with a woman without a queen's consciousness. Let's put it that way, because all women are queens, most are just not conscious. The thing that will separate a conscious queen from an unconscious queen, a woman who has no clue who she really is that she will invest herself in negativity and she entertains insecurities. When you come into a queen's consciousness, queens eliminate insecurity and negativity. Chapter number six, queens possess presence. We've talked a little bit about this. We go deeper in the book. Queens possess presence. When a queen walks in, she doesn't have to be loud. She doesn't have to be brash. She doesn't have to, do all of these antics that we see on reality television, because a queen possesses presence. You can take a picture of a queen, and there's something even about the still picture that makes you know that that's somebody. When she walks into a room, queens possess presence. Queens have the kind of presence that captivates the attention of kings. Queens don't have to do booty shots on Instagram. I get that from Mary J. She said it. I'm just repeating what she said. Queens don't have to do booty shots on Instagram because queens possess presence. They can be fully clothed and their clothing can fit properly. It doesn't have to be too tight. And there's something about her that just takes over the atmosphere. Queens always own the space they're in. That's why queens attract a lot of jealousy. In chapter number 7, queens only hear kings. Any man less than a king can't even register on a queen's frequency. Her consciousness won't allow her to hear anything, any voice, short of the voice of a king. And then finally, I only did 8 chapters. In chapter number 8, queens keep a royal circle. Queens don't run with. I almost said it, but I'm not going to say it. Queens keep a royal circle. They surround themselves with royals. They don't surround themselves with common, something else I wanted to say, but I can't say it. It's not social media friendly or appropriate or correct. Now, in this book, I do something that I've never done, and that is I start this book with an epilogue. And an epilogue is kind of like a story of some kind that introduces the content of the book. And in this epilogue, I draw up some fictional characters, one by the name of King Paternum. And he has 3 daughters. And watch this. And he goes away to war. And while he's away, the queen dies, their mother dies. And the little girls are left alone without the guidance of their mother. Good to see Dr. G in tonight. And watch this. Once the queen dies and the king is away at war, nobody expects the king to return. But the king does. And when he returns, he discovers that his three little girls whose mother passed were left in the hands of certain servants that were to raise them properly. But these servants miseducated them. And they made these young royals believe that they were commoners. So the young girls that were supposed to be raised to be queens were indoctrinated to believe that they were slaves. Those that were really supposed to be their servants, they were trained to believe were their superior. When the king got back, he beheaded all of those that miseducated the young princesses. And the king made nothing ahead of his primary agenda, and that was to educate his miseducated daughters. And the king called this course of study Queenology. And so from there, the epilogue continues, the story continues from chapter to chapter. We introduce every chapter, returning to the story, and then we go into real life, and I teach the principles of, queens eliminate insecurity and negativity. So I hope you understood what I just said to you. Yes, you can pre-order at RSC Blakes at RSCBlakes.com. Watch this. Okay, here we go. So this is chapter number 5, Queens Eliminate Insecurity and Negativity. So the epilogue continues, and this is how it reads. As the great King Paternum continued to educate his three princesses, Honestum, Imperium, and Potestatum, he observed how they interacted with each other. He knew that their capacity to work together as a sisterhood might one day be their salvation. The king, in a strategic maneuver, also invited refined young ladies of the court to visit the royal chambers. He wanted to observe the chemistry between the girls and those he considered to be their contemporaries. The king understood that the presence of a regal starts with self-confidence in every situation. The presence of a regal starts with self-confidence in every situation. Speaking of an earlier chapter, queens possess presence. King Paternum observed that the sisters worked well together, but when he brought in the other young women, they became quiet and withdrawn. Imperium started to feel angry at the other young women. The king recognized insecurity within the young queens, and he was livid. When the young visitors departed the royal quarters, the king sat the girls down and explained to them that the strange and uneasy feeling they experienced when the other girls visited was insecurity. He explained that insecurity and royalty could never coexist. He explained that insecurity and royalty could never coexist. He also explained why they had no reason to ever feel insecure. They were born to rule, and no one could wear their crowns. It didn't matter how talented, beautiful, or smart the others may have been. Those other girls could never be them. They were queens. And so then we move into the actual teaching. Let me read. There's little in life more unbecoming than an attractive, educated, and otherwise intelligent woman who struggles with insecurity. The entire world is often puzzled at her identity crisis and wonders how she cannot realize her true power and strength. She's actually a queen with the mentality of a slave. A slave in mind is a slave in life. It does not matter what your position is. If your disposition is something else, you will always live at the level of your mindset. Many dear single sisters often wonder why certain brothers never make a serious advance in their direction. Why don't they call again or attempt to develop something more than a platonic relationship? As I've had years of experience teaching women nationally and internationally, I have been called on for advice, and I've heard all of the stories. I also have the benefit of discussing these very issues with young and older men. The most common response I get from godly and eligible men as to why they don't pursue certain women is because their insecurity and negativity is a turnoff. A sister may believe she's done a good job disguising her issues, but in reality, they stand out like a lighthouse lamp across a dark sea. Everybody sees it. When a king comes to call for a queen, she must be a queen on all levels: mind, body, and spirit. Why are beautiful, educated, and godly women so insecure? Why do they feel so inferior? This sense of personal deficiency is no fault of the woman. Women have been taught to think of themselves as inferiors. The world is breeding insecure women. The world does not really like a confident woman. Just ask Shirley Chisholm, Maya Angelou, Margaret Thatcher, or Oprah Winfrey. They are all figures of strength and achievement. They are also warriors who buck the system, as all queens must. The strong and secure women of every era have been so because they went against societal norms and refused to be programmed. A confident woman is misunderstood and labeled as some sort of negative social cancer by the world. A confident woman is frowned upon and viewed with disdain. Society intentionally incapacitates a woman's confidence to keep her in a place of mental enslavement to a false sense of inferiority. For instance, for a woman to do the same job as a man and not be paid an equal wage is a means of institutional marginalization and psychological positioning. All around the world, governments and the powers that be intentionally promote the themes that rob the woman of her independence and personal confidence. Think about it. The various limits that are imposed upon women through media, religion, government, and even the oral tradition of their own forefathers is usually unfounded. The main sentiment communicated is, a woman cannot be equal to a man. What is that supposed to mean? As a man, I do believe that there are physical differences between men and women which may limit the woman in some physical acts of strength. But apart from the anatomical differences, there's nothing that a woman cannot handle. I believe that they are typically more cognitive than the man and often more spiritual. The root of the woman's inferiority is in the way she has been trained by society, what she believes as a consequence of that training, and her diminished self-definition. The woman's inferiority is not innate. It is introduced through an intentional system that creates a self-contained prison of self-doubt. It gets deeper from there. I just wanted to read that for you. This is the way this book is written. It's the next level from the father-daughter talk. In the father-daughter talk, we discuss the problem, the fatherless, the absence of the father, and the problem. We diagnose the situation. But in Queenology, we bring the prescription. Father-daughter talk is a diagnosis. Queenology is the prescription. So let me read a little more. God did not make you a weak, defeated, angry, and insecure woman. This is the wrong world for a weak and scared woman. Snap out of it. You're no one's victim. You were designed to conquer and to be in full, confident control of your gifts and abilities. If you check out Eve, the first woman, she was a dominator. Queen Esther was a confident and bold woman. The judge, Deborah, was a mighty leader. Where did you get this notion that you are to be a mere dependent or victim? If you are insecure and timid, it did not come from God. Every woman was designed to be an alpha female. Too few accept the challenge. So I'll stop reading there.